Runners, what if I told you that how you breathe, yes, something as simple as nose versus mouth, completely change the way you train and the way you perform? In this episode, we're diving into a question that has runners and me like 5-6 years ago asking themselves, should you breathe through your nose or your mouth while running? Is one better for endurance, recovery, or even race day? And could you be unknowingly sabotaging your training with the wrong choice? You'll also learn why training can actually make you weaker before it makes you stronger, the key benefits and drawbacks of nose breathing, and when to throw all the rules out and just let your body decide which one it wants. And all of that with the help of pro triathlon and running coach Mike Trees, aka Run.Energy, who has almost 500,000 followers on Instagram. Let's get into it.
So breathing through your nose is an interesting one. For me, I didn't think it would be a very popular post, but I put it on my Instagram page, and it's one of the most popular things that we had comments on. And I was actually amazed at how many people breathe through the nose when they run. I've never done it. I mean, I have actually gone out and gone little runs and just breathe through my nose just to check my pace and things. But generally, I decided, and I've read other research around the subject, that the nostrils just aren't big enough to get enough air in through your nose. And at a very low, easy, slow pace, yes, you can get enough oxygen in. And so breathing through your nose might be a useful tool to make sure you don't go too fast. But if you're training hard, you're not going to get enough air in the lungs breathing through your nose. So that's my view. Now, if we go back a little bit further, breathing through the nose has benefit. I'm not against it, by the way. Although I say I haven't done it. And I know that Kipchoge and quite a few Kenyans these days sort of practice breathing through the nose. But remember, they can probably get away with 2 breaths every 3 minutes. I mean, they on an easy run, they're not using a lot of oxygen.
There was a study. Sorry, let me go back to the quick story on the late 90s sports science class. And it was something I was interested in, majoring in at university, college. Ended up not going that route. Don't know why I didn't, because now I'm like, man, that would have been fun. But it was late 90s, early 2000s technology. We were a bit far behind. But I just remember the sports science teacher in high school saying, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth is your best way to breathe. And that wasn't for any specific way or type of training. It wasn't like, oh, this is best for endurance distance running, or this is best for sprinting, or this is best for basketball. So I took that as the gospel, and like I did with everything that this sports scientist teacher told me, and I implemented that up until basically I read that article that you wrote on Instagram. And funny enough, I then realized, though, the minute I start going hard, I can't do in through my nose, out through my mouth.
So I'm going to do a little test now. All these people that say, you've got to breathe through your nose the whole time. Now, just take one big breath, empty your lungs and take one big breath in through your nose and see how long it takes to fill your lungs up. Ready, go.
That's pretty fast.
Okay, now breathe out. It is a few seconds. Yeah. Now take one big breath through your mouth. The different for me, it's like I'll go through my nose, like it's a few seconds. Through my mouth, it's instantaneous.
Oh, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So I'm getting that oxygen so much quicker. So I can actually do so much more breathing. So long as my heart and lungs are efficient enough to process the oxygen in the lungs, I can get that oxygen around the muscles much more efficiently than I can through the nose.
Future Darren here, and I won't do that thing. You know the thing where people go, hey, you should subscribe, rate, share, give a thumbs up, rah, rah, rah. Now, while I'd love for you to do that anyways, please go ahead and do it. The next steps will be for you to transform your running life with our free 1% Better Runner 30-day base training habits plan and newsletter. Unlike other running plans and newsletters, we do not do motivational quick fixes and hacks. Instead, we focus on long-term success that lasts from 30 days to 30 years and more. It's not just a training plan, but a mental shift. Think of it as your personal running therapist. Sign up for free at either dlatecreates.com/news, web search 1% Better Runner newsletter, or get the link in the show notes or video description below. All value, no fluff, cancel anytime. Let's get back into it.
when should you not use nose breathing? And there's a warning that I think, and I'll kind of just lead in, and this is your words that I'm taking. You said, I believe it to be very dangerous to attempt a hard run breathing through the nose because of lack of oxygen supplied to the muscles and brains and may cause you to pass out. So basically, if you're going to try nose breathing because you haven't been doing nose breathing, I was breathing in and out through my mouth thinking I was breathing through my nose, and it wasn't until I actually was like at the end of the workout, I'm like, and then I went, oh, I'm breathing through my fucking mouth. You know, I was just like, oh, this makes sense. Like your body automatically goes, where's the most amount of oxygen? And it's going to go to the least amount of resistance and the easiest place to get the oxygen.
Yeah, I think that people who argue this and breathe through their noses are just not running quick enough to go out of an aerobic pace, so that they're running at a much slower pace where their oxygen demands are much less. So they're able to do this. But as soon as you get to threshold, you need more oxygen in the lungs. I believe you need to breathe through the mouth. And I'm happy for some sports scientists to come and interject and to show me different science on this. People did put some good comments on my post I hadn't thought about. So in the desert in the Middle East, they're saying, look, we get so much dust and stuff in the atmosphere that breathing through my mouth, I just get all this dust into my lungs. Whereas through my nose, the hairs and the follicles in your nose actually, filter out. That's what the nose is for. That's why we generally breathe through the nose normally when we're walking, is the nose will filter out all the dust and all the crap so that it gets caught up in mucus, and then you sneeze it out into the hanky or you snot it out or whatever. But if you're breathing through the mouth, it's going to go unfiltered straight to the lungs. So, I can see why in certain places people might want to breathe through the nose. But then I would say, should you be running in that weather? If you have no other choice, that's one thing. But also, you've got to keep the pace down if there's a lot of dust in the air. And other people say they get a really dry mouth if they breathe through the mouth. And it's like, well, yeah, I get a really dry mouth. So when I'm running, I found that really hard to argue with, because they said, oh, I just get a dry mouth. I can't breathe through my mouth because my mouth goes dry. But if you want to run quicker, I would argue you have to breathe through the mouth and accept that on hot, dry days, you're going to get a dry mouth, and it's just not a nice sensation, and just put up with it. Or you say, I'll breathe through my nose, but I'll go slower. So you have to make a choice. You can't have both. You can't suddenly say, yes, I'm going to breathe through my nose and I want to go quicker. It's one or the other.
If you want to find out more about what we talked about in this last episode that you just listened to or watched, go to this next video right here.